Danny Greene survived a bomb thrown through his apartment window at 3:50 in the morning. A refrigerator fell sideways and shielded him from the collapsing ceiling. He walked out in his underwear and told reporters the luck of the Irish was with him. He survived a car bomb that should have killed him in 1968. He found another bomb wired to his car in 1975, disassembled it himself, and hand-delivered the pieces to a Cleveland police lieutenant. The Italian mob tried to kill him for 2 straight years. They imported a hitman from Erie, Pennsylvania, because their own people kept failing. When that hitman finally got him, the hitman said it felt like having a glass of wine. Kill the Irishman shows you a tough guy. It leaves out the man who made Cleveland the bomb capital of America. The movie does what movies do. Ray Stevenson plays a square-jawed neighborhood hero in a green sweater. Christopher Walken plays Shondor Burns as a tragic elder statesman. Vincent D'Onofrio plays John Nardi as a loyal lieutenant. Val Kilmer plays a sympathetic cop who narrates the whole thing in voiceover. The first 3 were real men the film softened beyond recognition. The cop did not exist at all. He is a screenwriter's invention. The real cop the movie should have built around was a federal agent named Marty McCann, and the studio cut him. Greene was an FBI informant, codenamed Mr. Patrick. That was top echelon, the highest classification the Bureau assigned. The movie does not mention this once. 30 years before the refrigerator, before the bombs, before the green letters and the green ink, Danny Greene was a 6-year-old in a Parma orphanage who nobody visited. His mother had died 3 days after he was born. His father gave him up to the Parmadale Catholic Children's Home and did not come back. Greene came out at 6 to a stepmother he hated and a father who did not want him there. He ran away. He kept running. Every choice he made after that ran on the same engine. Be the man no one can throw away. The Marines took him in 1951. He came out a corporal. He went to the Cleveland docks. He ran for Union president of the Longshoremen and won. He raised the dues 25% and fired more than 50 members who would not do free labor for him. In 1964, a federal grand jury indicted him for embezzling $11,542.38 from his own union, Local. A man who would later run a private war started his criminal career stealing $11,000 from people who unloaded ships. That should have been the end of him. It was the beginning. His conviction was overturned on appeal in 1968. He pled to a lesser count of falsifying records, a $10,000 fine, and a suspended sentence. A small-time labor crook walked back into the street with no time served. The reason he walked is the part of the story the movie Scrubs. An FBI agent named Marty McCann, Organized Crime Division, recruited him as a top echelon informant under the codename Mr. Patrick. Pride in his Irish heritage, said the file. Greene fed the Bureau information on the Italians he was simultaneously fighting. He fed only what suited him. The Italians he wanted gone got investigated. The Italians he needed alive stayed alive. The Cleveland Robin Hood was federally subsidized. Every time Greene was not prosecuted hard, every time a charge dropped, every time a labor case got softened, it was because the FBI was protecting an asset. The Celtic Club legend, the green sweater, the working class hero in Collinwood, that costume was paid for in part with federal forbearance. I would argue the Robin Hood reputation only survived as long as it did because the Bureau was quietly carrying half of it. The movie has no FBI subplot. Marty McCann does not appear. The man who shaped Greene's last decade got cut for runtime. Halloween night 1971, Coventry Road in Cleveland Heights. A 31-year-old man named Arthur Snipperger crouched under a parked car at Swan's Auto Service, taping a bomb to the chassis. The car belonged to Mike Fratto, a rival rubbish hauler Greene wanted dead. Fratto was inside playing cards across the street. The bomb went off early. Snipperger died under it. Cleveland police arrived. Greene was watching from a car a block away. He held what looked like a transistor radio. Snepperger had been Greene's own bomb maker, his enforcer, his friend. The month before Halloween, he had gone soft on the Frotto job and warned Frotto about it. Soon after, he started feeding intelligence to a Cleveland police sergeant named Edward Kovacic. The intelligence included one detail Greene could not survive, that Greene was an FBI informant. You hand the cops your handler, you die first. The official cause was an accidental detonation. The Cleveland intelligence consensus has been the same since 1971. Greene pressed the button early. He killed his own bomb maker on Halloween to protect a federal arrangement that nobody outside the Bureau knew existed. If you are wondering how that is even legal, so is everyone else. The film leaves out the entire scene. 26 days later, Mike Frotto got his chance back. November 26, 1971. Greene was running his two German Shepherds at White City Park. Frotto pulled up and opened fire from his car. Greene drew the pistol he carried while walking his dogs in a public park in a Cleveland fall. He put a round through Frotto's windshield. Self-defense. Ruled the jury. He walked, read that one back. He carried a sidearm to walk the dogs. By that point, he was already a man who had survived one car bomb. March of 1968, his convertible exploded in his own driveway. The blast destroyed the car and damaged his hearing permanently. For the last 9 years of his life, the Irishman who told reporters the luck of the Irish was with him was partially deaf in both ears. The movie's tough guy walks through bomb scenes like a man who can hear them coming. The real one could not. By 1974, he had built a headquarters on Waterloo Road in Collinwood, 15,805 Waterloo, a trailer. He flew an Irish tricolour over it with a Celtic cross. At the top of the pole, he put a hand-painted sign on the side that read, "Future Home of the Celtic Club." The building behind it had been bombed once already. He raised the flag over the rubble. He drove only green cars. He decorated his apartment in green. He signed his letters in green ink. He handed out green pens, like business cards. He told a reporter on the record, "I am an Irish Catholic. I believe the guy upstairs pulls the strings, and you are not going to go until he says so." He believed God personally was protecting him. He said so. He wore the costume. He named the costume after a flag. In early 1975, an old Jewish racketeer named Shondor Burns put a $25,000 bounty on Greene's head. The money traced back through Burns to a Gambino loan that Greene had stiffed after a numbers operator named Billy Cox burned the cash on a drug buy the cops seized. The escalation ladder ran through New York. The movie compresses it into a barroom feud. The first bomb arrived first, a device wired to Greene's car at a Collinwood service station. The wiring was faulty. Greene found it himself, disassembled it himself, kept the dynamite, and walked the rest of the package down to Lieutenant Edward Kovacic at Cleveland Police Department Intelligence. Same Kovacic, same Lieutenant Snepperger, had been feeding before he died. Greene handed a live bomb to a man who had effectively gotten his last bomb maker killed, and nobody in the room mentioned it. Holy Saturday, March 29th, 1975, just before 8 in the evening, Shondor Burns turned the key on a Lincoln Continental outside Christie's Go-Go Lounge on West 25th Street. The C4 under his driver's seat blew him through the roof of the car. Pieces of him came down across the street on the steps of St. Malachi Church, where parishioners were arriving for the Easter Vigil. The first thing the priest saw on Easter Saturday was a piece of a Jewish gangster on the sidewalk in front of his cathedral. The movie shows Greene pressing the button. Greene was never charged. A Greene crew member named Kevin McTaggart later told the FBI that Greene contracted a Hells Angels member named Enos Krennic to plant the bomb for $7,500. And Greene benefited. Greene paid. Greene did not push it. The film picks the cinematic option. I think Greene contracted it out specifically because the Easter Saturday spectacle was too useful to hand to chance. Hit subscribe. I cover stories like this every week. By 1976, Cleveland was a different city. 37 bombs went off in Cuyahoga County that year, 21 inside the city limits, 16 in the suburbs. The FBI later estimated that operations connected to Greene accounted for 3 of every 4. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms tripled its Northeast Ohio staffing and stood up a regional office. National Wire copy gave the city a nickname that stuck, Bomb City, USA. The same year, the Cleveland boss, John Scalish, died. His successor, James Licavoli, demanded a street tax on Greene's operations. Greene refused. Then he did something stranger. He started sending Licavoli handwritten letters. Green ink, green letterhead, signed the Celtic Warrior. He named names. He used home addresses. He told Licavoli on paper that he was coming. On the wiretaps, it gets worse. Cleveland family lines were tapped through 1977. Greene knew. He kept calling. On one intercept, he told the listener, knowing perfectly well the Bureau was recording, that the yellow maggots could not kill him if they tried for 10 years. 3 months later, he was in pieces on a Lyndhurst parking lot. The transcripts do not make him fatalistic. They make him reckless. He told God he was protected, and then he told God's competition out loud. In May of that same 1977, before Greene's own turn came, the Cleveland family killed his Teamsters ally, John Nardi. Same method, same model. A car bomb in a Union parking lot detonated by remote from a chase vehicle. Pasquale Cisternino and Ronnie Carabia handled it. The Nardi hit was the dress rehearsal. The Lyndhurst job 5 months later used the same crew, the same script, and the same Carabia finger on the same detonator. Greene watched his best friend buried in May and went on with the green ink letters anyway. October 6th, 1977. Brainerd Place Office Plaza, Lyndhurst, Ohio. A suburban dental office, 3 o'clock appointment, loose filling. The Cleveland family had tapped Greene's phone and learned the appointment time. Ray Ferrito drove down from Erie, Pennsylvania, parked a Chevrolet Nova next to Greene's white Lincoln Continental Mark V, and walked away. Ronnie Carabia sat in a chase car with a remote detonator. Greene finished the appointment, walked out to the Lincoln, reached for the door handle. Carabia pressed the button. The blast threw Greene's left arm 100 feet from the body. The Lincoln's driver door blew 30 feet. The Nova was reduced to a scorch pattern. Ferrito, the imported Erie hitman, was asked years later how it felt to kill Danny Greene. His answer is on the record. To me, it was like having a glass of wine. It did not mean a thing to me. Cleveland imported him because their own people had spent 2 years trying and failing. The man Cleveland had to import to do what nobody local could do, called the murder of Beveridge. A young woman broke the case that afternoon. A girl named Debbie Spoth, daughter of a Berea police officer, was at the plaza. She saw the chase car. She drew Ferrito's face from memory. Her father walked the sketch to Cleveland PD Intelligence Chief Andy Vagno, and Vagno matched the file the same day. 2 years of war, one woman with a pencil. Ferrito was indicted within weeks. Licavoli put a hit on Ferrito from his own jail cell, which is the kind of decision that ends an organization. Ferrito flipped. He testified against everyone above him. Then the chain started. Carmen Zagaria, a Cleveland drug operator inside Greene's old orbit, rolled next. Cleveland underboss Angelo Leonardo was convicted in 1983 of racketeering and drug trafficking. sentenced to life plus 103 years. At Lewisburg, nobody walks out of a sentence that long. He flipped in 1985. Leonardo's testimony fed directly into the Mafia Commission trial in New York from 1985 to 1986. United States versus Salerno. Federal prosecutors used what he gave them to put away Anthony Salerno of the Genovese family, Anthony Corallo of the Lucchese family, and Carmine Persico of the Colombo family. 3 sitting bosses of the 5 families went to federal prison. A dental appointment in suburban Lyndhurst was the first domino. A teenager's pencil sketch was the second. A hitman who called it a glass of wine was the third. Cleveland's underboss, looking at 103 years, was the fourth. The 5 families of New York were the fifth. Cleveland killed Danny Greene to settle a street tax. They lost the Cleveland family doing it. And then the New York families lost 3 of their bosses on the same paperwork. I would say that is the worst trade in the history of American organized crime. The movie ends with the parking lot. It does not show Marty McCann, the FBI handler, whose decade-long arrangement with Greene was the engine of the whole story. It does not show Edward Kovacic, the police lieutenant Greene used as a one-man bomb disposal courier, later becoming Cleveland's chief of police. It does not show Angelo Leonardo dying in witness protection at 95 years old in 2006, outliving the boss who ordered Greene's death by 21 years. It shows you a tough guy in a green sweater. It does not show you what the tough guy actually was. An orphan who built a public identity nobody could throw away, a federal asset whose Robin Hood legend was partially subsidized by the Bureau, a man who killed his own bomb maker on Halloween to protect that arrangement, and a corpse in a suburban parking lot whose death cracked the American mafia open. The kid in the Parma orphanage, who nobody visited, got the only ending he wanted. They are still talking about him. Subscribe for more stories like this. I will see you next week.